Hi everyone, this is Julie Bruns. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. I want you to thrive and be happy, peaceful, and content, no matter where you are on your journey. This podcast shares stories that will show you how it can be done, no matter what your circumstances. You'll be inspired and come away with a new spark of an idea. Never forget, anything is possible. New episodes are released every Wednesday. Subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. This helps others find our content and get happier sooner. To possibility and beyond. So welcome to this episode of the Peace and Possibilities podcast, everyone. My special guests today have two, which I haven't done before, so I'm excited to introduce you to Tay and Val. And Tay and Val, I first heard of their story, and I'll let you tell a little bit more about what they do and who they are. I read their story in a book called Women on Purpose. And if you want to say anything about that, ladies, please do. Their story, I could not, first of all, I thought it was going to go a certain way. So if you, when you get on and you want to talk about it, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I thought when you started sharing the story about you were going on an adventure or trip, it ended up being nothing you expected. And you thought, all right, we're just going to go with the flow and go where we end up because we have to make the best of it. We're already here. And you ended up in this totally unique, I'll call it a hotel for better lack of words right now. And you met this incredible man who was living his dream, and it inspired you to start living went on a completely different journey than you were intending after that vacation. So first, welcome, and tell me if I got any of that wrong.
Hi, Julie. This voice belongs to Val. And I'm Tay. You got that completely right, on point.
Awesome. Yeah. So I finished reading your story and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just a perfect example of something I'm always teaching our kids in their late teen, early 20s. And I'm always saying, even if you get there and it's not what you expect, just hang on to it because something else is waiting in the wings for you to learn or someone else is there for you to meet. Like, I just trust that you're exactly where you're meant to be. So I felt like that's what I was connecting to when you were telling your story, like, okay, well, we're just going to go for it and go with it. And then you met some incredible people. And so thank you for being here today and sharing your stories. So let's start to talk about, let's start with the first question that I ask all my guests, which is the path that you're on now. So you are sharing meditations and you have this beautiful business of connecting people and through mindfulness and meditation practices, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when you started out, when you were studying in school, whether you went to college or you decided you want to have a certain career, when you were starting your journey along with the grown-up path, did you see yourselves doing this at the end, or was it just kind of like, oh, you ended up along the way, you had those twists and turns, and this felt like the next perfect thing to do? Tell me about that.
I can go first. This is Tay. I think from a very young age, I was very inspired by I think you would call them your elementary school teacher here. Mm-hmm. She was a figure that we cried for her. The whole class was like bonded around her. So I wanted to be a teacher for a really, really, really long time. And then on my way to college, we had to, do a first year of, do some part-time work to bring in the tuition for my college. So I went to be a tuition teacher. So I thought, I would just do what I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life and to inspire this child that is in front of me by teaching him or her, math and science and English and Chinese. I did 3 weeks of that and I hated it.
That's funny. You never know what you're going to get when you get your dream, right?
Every time I go there, I was dragging my feet. I was like, I don't want to do this. What am I doing here? I truly did not enjoy the process, right? And what I found out, later was I was so attached to this role, this job description of what a teacher is. And no one had really taught me to ask, what about this teacher that truly inspired me? What about her? You know, what were the qualities and values? How was she being? Who was she being in front of all of us? That made me felt so safe and so drawn to just want to be like her. But I was just, you know, got sucked into the role and job description of what a teacher is, that you show up, you teach this syllabus from A to B to Z, and then, you know, do the A plus B plus C, A squared is plus B squared equals whatever. There was no meaning driving me. There was no why.
I love
And then,
that. It's so impactful. Yeah. What's the why? Why do you aspire? What's inspiring about that role to you? And then you would have been able to be more insightful about what was drawing you there. Yeah. I love
yeah,
that.
and then when we went on the journey, the whole journey now on hindsight, it was really teaching me to find out and dig deeper into what was the why. What was truly drawing me into this role, this description? How can I shape and craft this role into something that has a meaning for me?
I love that. I love that. Val, was your experience similar? Did you want to do something completely different that, you know, wasn't what you thought it was going to be?
Right now, I am doing everything I never wanted to do when I was growing up.
Oh, funny.
So, in our business at M Meditation, we bring mindfulness and meditation as a gateway, really, a type of leadership, emotional intelligence training for executives and leaders around the world. I was born and raised in a temple, so meditation is very ingrained part of my life, and it also explains why I wanted to do anything, just anything and everything but that. So growing up, my first choice really was I wanted to be an astronaut. I figured that's the furthest you can go out of the temple, out into space.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. And also there's something about the unknown that really, it's human nature to fear the unknown, but for me the unknown really intrigues and draws me in. And then I found out that there were no space programs in Singapore, the country I was born in. So I settled for wanting to be a neurosurgeon. So I wanted to go as scientific as possible, and as far away from my roots as possible. And as you read in the story, you know, we come one full circle, and I am back to my roots, teaching meditation and mindfulness, but doing it in the way that I would approach it, you know, very scientifically, approach it from a very evidence-based, research-based angle. But still grateful that I had that deep training ever since, you know, I was a kid in that kind of environment. Yeah, so that's my journey.
I love that. And you're in taking a different, an angle. Obviously, there's I've done some research on meditation and mindfulness, and I know the scientific evidence, and a lot of people want to see that. They want to know what exactly, if that's the impact for them. That's the thing that's going to make them continue the practice, because they know what it's actually doing to their physical brain, which I find is unbelievably fascinating. So it's kind of cool that that's what we all do, right? We take pieces of what we know and what we're passionate about and tie them together. And now you can be the expert on this topic that you didn't even intend to be the expert on, but because of all of your scientific, the pull that you had to the science and the research part of it. So that's so cool. Okay. So you two are now creating all these beautiful spaces. I know you're doing stuff virtually now. I'm guessing before you were doing them in person, to teach people how to meditate and why it's so important and for your health and your obviously emotional intelligence and well-being. What do you think made you successful launching this business early on and later? What was, how did you stay, not so stressed and peaceful along the way as you were creating what you're creating now? Because obviously you didn't set out to do this, so it's never the straight line we think it's going to be. What made you along the way successful and able to do this, you guys?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think it's a step that everyone, whether conscious or not, they go through in creating something. But it's once the step is taken, very few of us remain anchored in that original intention. And that step is setting an intention. For Tay and myself, anything and everything that we do is always firmly grounded in intention to inspire people and to also show them how they can become the next best version of themselves, do their best work, and really live not just a good life, but that the very take in as much life as possible and express all of that, all of themselves in living.
So whenever there's a decision to be made with regards to, now that we've changed from in-person classes to virtual classes, bring us back to the intention. How can we bring these virtual classes to people in a way that will help them live their best life, do their best work, and, grow into the better versions of themselves. So we just keep coming back, whatever decisions that we had to make, whatever obstacles or challenges that we had to face along the way, it's just keep coming back to this one intention. It makes it very, very simple in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, really, even when we were still teaching in real life, in companies, and the companies would say, I have satellite offices in London, in Southeast Asia, can we stream your teachings? Even back then, we were thinking, okay, how can we adapt these exercises we're doing with these people right in front of us for the people who are listening in or logging on to the web stream version? And then for teams that were working remotely, we were already thinking, okay, how can these practices be implemented in a way that supports their work from home lifestyle? So making this transition during this particular period, it was just a really no-brainer to contextualize everything that we teach, such that even during tough times like this, people can still have the tools and the practices to thrive.
I love that. It's kind of crazy that you're already getting prepared for it, and I'm in the same boat. Most of my training, well, I've been doing a mix of remote and online training for years and learning and development, so I'm really familiar with the platforms that people use virtually. But there are people that would, of course, being in person is much better. You can connect with everyone's energy and all of that. But it's like, it is the next best thing. Thank goodness for the technology, or we would think how much more crazy all of us would be right now if we actually couldn't see people's faces and hear their voices and connect in this better way that we're able to now. So I'm so grateful that we have technology now more than ever, of course. So yeah, I mean, and it's so cool that you could be successful and just kind of have the next, we'll just try this instead. And it was a nice little transition without having to be really stressful. That's cool. So what would you say? So now you're doing all of this virtually. Your business is, running virtually, hopefully for not forever. We'll be back to some normal state of in person at some point. What advice would you have for people that are in this time, or even going forward when things are a little bit more back to normal? What advice would you have for people that are searching for a meaningful career? Whether it's something like you're doing or something that is completely opposite, where they can use their strengths, because that's what you two are doing now. You're taking your strengths and you're sharing them with the world and making your intentions clear so that you can inspire people. So whether you're inspiring people with your art or your medicine or your corporate job, what advice would you have for people that are searching for a meaningful career?
I think the first step is really to just take some time to go inside. It's really an inside job more than it is an outside job. So just figure out or just see a pattern in your life to what your strengths really are. And when we talk about strength, we define them as things that make you stronger, not necessarily the things that you are good at. So what are some of the things that will continue to challenge you and grow you, that when you do them, when you engage in them, it brings up life in you. It makes you, feel fulfilled, whole, and happy. And that is what we mean by your strength, that the things that you can continue to evolve and grow in, that you can bring into a career. So first of all, just be able to identify one or two things that are on there.
I think at a global level, the world is facing a pandemic, but I always say the crisis is not your crisis. The crisis is happening, but you have your own personal crisis. And these crisis is something that has always been there. It's sort of like an undercurrent, but they're now because of the disruption, because our routines, our habits, our comfort zones are all being rapidly disrupted and continuously being disrupted. We have no choice really but to take a real hard look and do it like an internal stock take, right? What is important to us? What are the gifts that truly only I can give? And do I want to spend my time and my energy, giving my gifts this way? Or is there, what are the hand, heart, and footprints I want to leave in this world? Really, like I really echo what Tay says. You do this internal work, and then your external circumstances will reflect back to you align opportunities, connections, collaborations that allow you to express what is it that you truly desire.
Yeah, and then once you know what is truly important to you, what do you truly care about, you can then think about ways to really embody that in your daily life. So for instance, for us right now, what's really important to us is helping people empower people with the tools that they need to move forward in their life, to find out what their purpose is, to do something truly meaningful that fills them up every day. And the second thing that we truly care about is how can we help more people by donating the money that we are making right now, donating some of it, be it financially and then be it energetically, and also in terms of giving people the tools, all in that sense of empowerment. And so if I'm focusing on what's important is empowerment, how can I embody this thing called empowerment in my own life right now first? How can I empower myself? How can I show up empowered? How can I bring this energy of empowered everywhere I go?
I love that. I love what you two are talking about. I love you keep using the words evolve and grow and meaning and reflection and going inside and setting intentions. And it's like it all sounds so like almost too simple to be powerful, but that's the whole point. When you are first of all, we have the extra time now, so no one can say that you don't have the extra time now to be reflective and go in and ask yourself some good questions. They're hard questions, but when you ask yourself the questions, you'll be guided more easily because you had that time to reflect. But I love what you said too about this global level is not your crisis, and that really struck me because I'm going through the same thing, which is everyone's doing it right now, which is okay, well, what's the future going to look like? No one knows. There is so much uncertainty, but what do you know for sure? What do you know that you are good at? What's truly meaningful for you? What's your intention every day? And if you're just setting those things, it only takes a couple of words. It doesn't take hours to do this. It doesn't even take 15 minutes. But if you can get clear on what your intention is every day, you'll be guided, and as you're going along and having experiences virtually or outside, you will be more clear about, well, you wait a minute, my intention was to do this, so I'm not gonna work on this task because I told myself my intention is this is what I want to emanate to the world, or this is what I want to work on to empower people. Whatever it is you're doing, you'll be it'll be that much more easy to be guided each day, every day, I think. So I love what you said. What gifts that only you can give. So true, because people will say, oh, there's already somebody who's doing meditation. Of course, there's already somebody who's teaching meditation on our planet. Of course there is, right? But if you just talk about the gifts that you specifically can give, in a way, no one on the planet is going to be able to do it the way that you two are doing it, the way that one single person is, because we all come from different experiences, obviously. So some great tips. Thank you. That's very profound what you're talking about. So I appreciate that. Okay, so what would you say, either of you, along the way with your journey? I wouldn't mind you saying really quick about the journey I was talking about. You went on a trip and you met that really unique man who just changed you, both of you, to say, wait a minute, we're going to do this instead. If you would just tell that really quick, so we can end it with, what you wish you may have learned a little earlier, if you can tell that story. How do you feel about that? I love that story.
Basically, we were at a point in our lives where we were wondering why we are on this earth, basically. should we continue doing the job that we are very good at doing? Like, what should we do about our career when we feel so empty inside, but we are really successful at? So we met this man in Taiwan. In under really unforeseen circumstances, we were told, kind of guided to be there. It was a train B&B right next to the ocean. We landed ourselves there, and we met this 65-year-old man. We were sitting in his train B&B right next to the ocean, and he just has this sparkle in his eyes. He has this amount of energy, but that we don't have. The two younger girls who were sitting in his train B&B did not have the life that he had, the sparkle that he had, the energy and the vitality that he had. Both of us combined, we don't have any of that, and we just wanted what he had. It's like, so we asked him, Uncle, why did you build this train B&B in the middle of nowhere? It was right next to the ocean, in the middle of a village. You couldn't Google map it. You have to get some special instructions to find your way there. And it was meant to serve people. Like, people will come to the hotel, come to the restaurant. It's like, why did you build this thing in the middle of nowhere? And he looked at us as if we asked him the most ridiculous question. He looked at us, he gave us 3 words. He said, "It's my dream." And then he walked away. We were sitting there bawling our eyes out and wondering, why were we never asked this question? Why were we never asked this question with no agenda attached, like with no answers already attached to it?
Wow.
When we were younger, when people ask us, who do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do when you grow up? The answer is always be a teacher, be a lawyer, be an accountant, be an engineer.
We always say this joke. Our parents will say, you can be whoever you want to be, so long as it's a teacher, a lawyer, an accountant. You're like, okay. But those 3 words were like a wake-up call, sort of like when we've been on autopilot. Back then we were in our 20s, when you've been on autopilot for the first 2.5 decades of your life, and somebody told you that there is another way, right? Like, and asked you to become aware. That moment was such a gift to us, which is also why we do what we do, because we want to be able to provide this gift, and amplify it to as many people as possible.
That's beautiful. And it's so simple, 3 words. And that's why you go out and experience life, right? Because you never know who you're going to connect with or what you're going to hear. And it could be 1 word, it could be 3 words, but you left there, you're crying, you're this happy man, this vital happy man was just like speaking honestly to you, and he had no idea the impact he was going to have on you. And then you're thinking, why didn't anyone else ask me this? And then you start questioning everything else you're doing. It's just like, that's why life to me is so exciting. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because everyone hearing people's stories and thinking about something in a new way, or asking someone a question that you have never asked them before and getting an answer you weren't expecting. And that's what it's all about. And that's what makes you think and gives you a spark and gives you an idea to go do something else. So I'm so happy you had that experience. I loved reading that story, and it just goes to show you just never know who you're going to bump into or meet along your journey and how they're going to impact your life. So I guess my last question would be, you kind of already answered it, I'm guessing. If you had wished you had learned anything early in your life, would it be that you'd asked yourself that question? What do you dream of being and doing instead of what job do you want to have? Would that be it, or would it be something else?
I think for me, it would, listening back to this whole conversation that we just had, I wish I had told myself to listen a little deeper. I realized that at a very young age, I had already a seed planted inside me that came from me, that I wanted to be a teacher. And then I got stuck on the role of the teacher, the responsibility, the job description of the teacher. And I just gave it up, right? I just stopped there because, this is not for me. This is not the format I recognize it at. But I wanted to, if I had known a bit earlier, to just go deeper in that, to explore that, to go beyond just the role, to like, why do I want to be a teacher? What is it like? What about me fulfills this role as a teacher? What kind of a teacher do I really want to be, instead of just being stuck in the role? So like, just nurture, like the advice I would give to myself is nurture the seed that we already know within us. Like, don't give it up. There's so many different ways to look at it and become aware of what this seed is, to just keep nurturing it.
I love that. That's beautiful. Val, do you have any thoughts on that?
For me, what feels really alive for me to share is I wished that I had known from day one that there's no such thing as perfection.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever going to perfectly go my way. And in that, everything is perfect.
I love that. You're right.
From the journey to later on how the journey unfold, all the way to the company that, we co-founded today. None of this was on my, my life plan. None of this was on my, my perfect life story. But I wouldn't have traded any moment for anything else, because what I got was better than my version of perfect.
Ooh, I love that. I love that line. What you got is better than your original perfect. If every, budding teenager, 15-year-old, 21-year-old graduating college could just hear that, which is why I'm doing this podcast, hopefully getting it out to as many people as can hear it, because those are the words that our youth needs. Those are the words that 30 and 40-year-old women and men need, who are stuck in careers that they feel, dead, and that they are I forget the words you guys used before you went on this trip. You're just like, what's my life all about? What's the purpose? Like, why am I even doing this? It's such a bad place to be in, and you feel stuck, and you feel like, well, what's the whole point? And then you meet people like this beautiful man at the Airbnb train who's living his dream, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Thank goodness we run into people like that. Otherwise, we all would be kind of walking around like robots, thinking, well, this is just a job, and I have to suffer, and I have to work, and this is life. It's like, no, it's not. Right? No, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you saying, this thing, don't settle for less.
Yeah.
I mean, when we had our careers, we were really successful at it. I kind of really love my television production days, where I get to listen to other people's stories, but I just burn out from that, not knowing the why. And, we can be really good at our careers. We can create a really good life. And when something more is calling us for an outstanding life, to be an outstanding leader and an outstanding person in the world, I think we ought to, honor and listen to that and explore, how can I be this outstanding person that I'm called to be? I feel that I can rise up to be, and just look for the resources and the tools to help you get there.
Oh, I love that. It's a great way to end it. Explore that outstanding person that you're being called to be. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be really, really rewarding, and you won't regret it. You'll never regret it. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, you guys. I loved our conversation. I was taking copious notes because you said so many great things. So I thank you for all of your words of wisdom. And I know this is going to be really inspiring for my audience and anyone who listens to it. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us on board, Julie.
Oh, it was awesome. So where can people find you when they want to learn more about what you do, your meditation?
We are over at m-meditation.com.
Awesome. And people can sign up and join your virtual classes, right?
Yep. Now they can, from anywhere in the world with a computer connection.
Awesome. Thank you for doing what you do, and for being the beautiful people that you are, and sharing your gifts with all of us, so that we can be boy, the gift of meditation and mindfulness, I could talk about that for an hour, but I recently, well, it's been a couple of years that I'm practicing meditation, so I know what you're doing and know how important it is. I tell everyone I can about it when they're suffering for any physical or mental state of being. So keep doing what you're doing so everyone can get on board with this. I'm so glad it's such a more of a normal term than it used to be even 10 years ago. Keep doing what you're doing so we can all feel that peace and that contentment that we're going to get from practicing meditation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for listening. If you love this content, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you found us on. You can get all my social media links in the description below. Help us keep the momentum going so that every person can live their lives happily, doing work they love.